I humiliated him in front of his family, but he turned the tables and destroyed my reputation. Hello, Reddits. I am in hot soup. I really should have seen it coming. Looking back now, every single moment leading up to that night was a warning. A flashing sign that I ignored because I never believed my husband Eric was capable of anything other than being a doormat. But the truth is, I had spent so long underestimating him that I didn't realize I was walking straight into my own downfall. My name is Samantha, and like I said earlier, I am married to Eric, and we've been for about 5 years now. To be honest, Eric was never the kind of man I wanted. He was kind, handsome, and very sweet sometimes, but none of that ever excited me. He had just been the safe option, the guy who wouldn't cheat, wouldn't leave, wouldn't challenge me, and for a while, that's exactly why I married him, because I knew I could do whatever I wanted, and he would still stay because of how much he loved me. I had learned early in our marriage that Eric would put up with anything. The way he would apologize first, even when I was the one in the wrong. The way he would buy me gifts whenever I was in a bad mood, like that could make up for his boring, predictable personality. I told myself that his love suffocated me, that it made me feel trapped, restless, unfulfilled, but deep down, I knew what it really was. I just didn't respect him. So I cheated. It wasn't an accident. It wasn't a mistake. I knew exactly what I was doing, and I never felt guilty. The first time was with a coworker. It was just some harmless flirting at first, which had then graduated into late-night drinks and finally a drunken mistake in the backseat of his car. I expected to feel some kind of regret afterward, but I didn't. All I felt was excitement. That's when I realized that I had been missing something real, something Eric could never give me. He wasn't up to my standard, and since no one found out about the whole thing that went down, I felt powerful and decided to keep going. The second time was with a personal trainer in the gym I frequented. He had just been employed around that time, and I targeted him. He was a young, confident man, the kind of man who knew exactly what he wanted. We only slept around twice before I stopped, especially when I found out he also was sleeping with other married women who frequented the gym too. Another time was with a businessman I met on a trip with my girlfriends. He flew me out to see him for weekend getaways, while Eric stayed home, completely oblivious, taking care of the house, thinking I had gone to take care of my sister, who was sick. It had only been once, though. The other guy I slept with again was David, and it had been around time that I was engaged to Eric. There was something about him that drew me in. He had this cocky confidence, this ability to take control of a room, and he was everything Eric wasn't. The chemistry was undeniable, and I didn't even try to resist it. But the night at his parents' house, that was when everything changed. It was a small family gathering, just like a dozen others we'd had before. His parents adored me. They thought I was the perfect wife, the woman who made their son happy. I was good at playing that role, at smiling sweetly and pretending like I wasn't sleeping with other men. I don't know why I did it, honestly. Maybe I was bored. Maybe I had grown so comfortable in my control over Eric that I wanted to test how much I could get away with. Or maybe I just enjoyed humiliating him, reminding him that he wasn't the kind of man who could stand up to me. The conversation turned to careers and success, and I made the first comment casually mocking how Eric wasn't ambitious enough, how he was content being just an IT manager while other men were out building empires. His family laughed. Eric said nothing. That's when I knew I could push further, so I did. I laughed louder, threw in more digs about how he was too soft, too passive, too boring. I made jokes about how I was the one who had to run things in our marriage, how I had to be the real man in the relationship. I saw the flicker in his eyes then, just for a second, but still, he didn't say a word. That should have been my first clue that something was different this time, because Eric always reacted the same way. He would swallow his pride, let me get away with it, and then try to make it up to me later like the pathetic little lapdog he was. That night, though, he just watched me. No anger, no hurt, just this cold, quiet stillness that made my stomach turn, but I still stupidly ignored it. I thought I had won. I thought I had put him in his place again. I had no idea that I had just signed the death sentence for my marriage, because Eric wasn't going to let this one go, and he already knew everything. I expected a fight. I was ready for it. I had seen the flicker in his eyes at the dinner table that night, that split-second shift in his expression when I humiliated him in front of his family. but I didn't care. I was used to getting away with things. I thought he'd do what he always did, sulk, withdraw, maybe sleep in the guest room for a night or two. And then, like clockwork, he'd come crawling back. He'd try to fix things, try to prove himself to me, try to be a better husband. He always took the blame, always thought he wasn't good enough for me. I had him trained, or at least I thought I did. But this time, something was different. Eric didn't argue with me that night. He didn't try to defend himself or tell me I had gone too far. He didn't even look upset. He just sat there, quiet, staring at me like he was seeing me for the first time. And then he got up, excused himself, and went about the rest of the evening like nothing had happened. That should have been my first warning. The next few days were strange. Eric stopped talking to me, not in an angry, brooding way, not even in a passive-aggressive way, but in a way that felt cold, calculated. He wasn't sulking, he was watching. He started coming home later and later. Sometimes I'd wake up in the middle of the night and find the other side of the bed still empty. He was working out now, going to the gym, something he had never been consistent about before. I noticed the changes almost immediately, the way his shirt started fitting differently, the way his posture changed, the way his presence in a room suddenly carried a weight I had never noticed before. It was like he had flipped a switch. At first I thought it was pathetic, a last-ditch attempt to make me regret how I treated him, a desperate effort to win me back. I rolled my eyes when he ignored me. I laughed to myself when he stopped making coffee for me in the mornings. I told myself he was acting out like a child throwing a tantrum. I let him think I didn't care. But then, one morning, everything fell apart. I woke up, expecting to find Eric in the kitchen, sitting at the counter with his laptop, acting like everything was fine. But the house was silent. I walked into the bedroom, still half asleep, and that's when I saw it. His closet was empty. I stopped breathing for a second. I stared at the open closet doors, at the empty hangers, at the complete absence of his presence. My hands started shaking as I checked the bathroom. His razor was gone, his cologne, his toothbrush. I sprinted to the nightstand. His wedding ring was gone. That's when I knew. He had left. I ran downstairs, my heart racing, trying to tell myself that I was overreacting, that maybe I had just missed something, that maybe he had moved things around, that maybe this wasn't what I thought it was. But then I checked my phone, and everything hit me at once. The first thing I saw was a notification from my bank. Insufficient funds. I opened the app, my fingers trembling. Our joint account was empty. I checked the credit cards. Declined. I felt nauseous. I tried calling the bank, but before I could even process what was happening, my phone started vibrating again. Dozens of messages, all coming in at once. From friends, coworkers, family members. I saw the first few previews and my stomach dropped. What the hell, Samantha? Tell me this isn't real. OMG, are you serious? I felt my blood turn to ice. Something was very, very wrong. I opened one of the texts, and that's when I saw the first screenshot. A text conversation. My text conversation from months ago, explicit, detailed, undeniable proof of my affairs. And it wasn't just one message, it was hundreds. Screenshots of texts, emails, photos, all the things I had convinced myself were hidden and could never see the face of light. All the things I thought I had gotten away with, it was all right there staring at me on my phone. And then another notification popped up, a tagged post. My fingers fumbled as I tapped on it. And there it was, a public post, from Eric. Not dramatic, not emotional, just factual. A short caption, a few lines of text, and screenshots. So many screenshots of me, of my conversations with other men, of the truth about our son's real father. I felt my legs give out. I sat on the floor, gasping, my heart hammering against my ribs. This wasn't just a private humiliation, not at all. This was public. Eric had told everyone, and I mean everyone, even people who didn't know who I was, were right under his post condemning me. They all had something to say. I was ruined. And the worst part? He was just getting started. I used to believe Eric was oblivious. For years, I convinced myself that I was too smart, too careful, that he would never figure it out. He was too trusting, too naive, too much of a nice guy to suspect that his wife, the woman he loved, the woman he built a life with, had been sleeping with other men for almost their entire marriage. I didn't just cheat, I lived a double life. And Eric, I thought he was clueless. I thought I could roll over in bed next to him after being with someone else and get away with it. I thought I could send flirtatious texts while he sat beside me on the couch, lost in a book or watching TV. I thought I could smile sweetly and lie to his face without any consequence. I had convinced myself that he was weak, that he needed me, that he would never leave me no matter what I did. I never imagined he was watching me the entire time. It started small. He never let on that anything was wrong. He didn't ask me questions. He didn't act suspicious. He played his part perfectly. The devoted husband, the patient father, the man who still thought the woman sleeping next to him was faithful. But behind the scenes, he was collecting everything. He went through my phone, my emails, my call logs. He saw the late-night texts, the disappearing messages, the receipts from hotels and fancy dinners that I never thought to delete, because I never knew who it was I was messing with. He tracked my movements. At first, it must have been subtle things like noticing when I left the house at odd hours, checking when I made sudden errands that I couldn't fully explain. But then, he must have started digging deeper. I don't know when he first put a tracker on my car, but I know now that he had months' worth of locations mapped out. I don't know how long he had access to my iCloud, but I know now he had screenshots of every single message I thought I had deleted. He had proof, more proof than he ever needed, and still, he waited. He let me dig my own grave, day by day, night by night, affair by affair. I was so busy thinking I was untouchable, I didn't even realize I was giving him everything he needed to destroy me. I don't know when the doubt started. I don't know what moment made him look at our son, the boy he had raised, the boy he had loved without question, and start wondering if he was even his. Maybe it was the lack of resemblance, the small things he started noticing as our child grew older. Maybe it was a comment someone made, a joke that had maybe planted a seed in his mind. Or maybe, deep down, he had always known. I just know that one day, he decided to find out the truth. He didn't ask me, he didn't accuse me. He simply took a DNA test. A simple swap, a quiet submission to a lab. Nothing dramatic, no confrontation, no suspicion on my end. And then, the results came back, and that was the moment I lost everything. The child wasn't his. The boy he had held in his arms as a newborn Dot. The boy he had stayed up with at night when he had fevers Dot. The boy he had taught to ride a bike, who had called him Daddy with so much trust and love. Not his. I wonder how he felt when he read those words, if he sat in silence, if he gripped the edge of his desk, feeling his entire world shift under his feet, if he replayed every moment of fatherhood, every sacrifice, every time he told himself that this was his family, his legacy, only to realize it was all a lie. But even then, he didn't confront me. Even with the ultimate betrayal staring him in the face, he still didn't let me see him break. He planned. Because by then, he had nothing left to lose. I thought I had everything under control. I was still living my double life, still sneaking around, still feeling untouchable. I still looked at Eric and saw the same predictable, boring man I had always taken advantage of. But I didn't see it. I didn't see the way his gaze had changed. I didn't see how he no longer looked at me with love, or longing, or even disappointment. He just looked at me like I was already gone, like I was already dead to him. And I had no idea that he had been planning my downfall for months. I don't know why he waited. Maybe he wanted to make sure I lost as much as possible. Maybe he wanted to take everything from me the way I had taken everything from him, Dot. Or maybe he just wanted me to feel what it was like to be blindsided. So he sat there. Every morning, he kissed me on the forehead, the same way he always had. Every night, he came home like nothing had changed. He still smiled in front of friends, Dot. He still held my hand at dinner parties, Dot. He still played the perfect husband while silently, secretly, destroying my life behind the scenes. By the time he left, by the time I woke up to an empty house, an empty bank account, and a phone filled with messages exposing me to the world, it was already too late. I had lost. And the worst part, I never saw it coming. I always thought that if it ever came to this, that if Eric ever found out, if my world ever started to crumble, I would have time to fix it. I thought I was smarter than him, that I could talk my way out of anything. I thought that even if he did find out about one of the affairs, Even if he got angry, I could control the damage. I never imagined I was just being delusional. I never imagined that he would burn my entire life to the ground. But that's exactly what he did. And he left nothing behind. It started the moment I woke up and realized he was gone. Not just physically, but everything tied to him was gone too. Our joint bank account wiped clean. My credit cards declined. The house, no longer in my name. The car I had been driving, repossessed. I had nothing. No money, no assets, not even the illusion of financial security. Eric had planned this too well. I called the bank, still half asleep, still convinced this was a mistake. They told me the accounts had been restructured days ago, while I was still blissfully unaware, still cheating, still believing I was untouchable. He had moved everything out of my reach, legally, and there was nothing I could do. I tried calling him, but it went straight to voicemail. I texted, but there was no response. I checked my emails, desperate for some explanation, and that's when I saw it. A forwarded email from his lawyer, and it was an attached document, divorce papers. At first, I told myself this was fixable, that I could still talk my way out of it, still find a way to salvage my reputation, still somehow control the narrative. But Eric had already done that for me. He hadn't just cut me off financially. This man had destroyed my name. He told everyone, not just our families, not just our closest friends, everyone. By the time I checked my phone again, it was too late. Dozens of missed calls, hundreds of messages, social media notifications that wouldn't stop coming. The first text I opened was from my mother. I barely read past the first sentence before my stomach twisted. How could you do this to him? I scrolled through the messages in shock, feeling my hands tremble as I realized just how deep Eric had buried me. He had gone to my family first, making sure they heard everything from him. The affairs, all of them. The lies. And worst of all, the truth about our son. My parents disowned me. Not in a dramatic, screaming match kind of way. It was worse than that. They didn't yell. They just told me, calmly, emotionlessly, that I was no longer their daughter. That I had humiliated them, that they wouldn't stand beside me, that they couldn't defend me after what I had done. And then they blocked me. My own parents. I was alone. If I had one last hope, it was David, my son's biological father. I told myself that he would at least help me, that even if he was furious, even if he was blindsided by Eric reaching out to him, he wouldn't abandon me. But when I finally got a hold of him, I realized how wrong I was. Eric had contacted him weeks ago. David already knew everything. And he was furious, but not just at Eric for exposing him. He was furious at me. He told me he wanted nothing to do with me, that he would fight for custody of his son, but not for me, that I had stolen years from him, that I had let another man raise his child under false pretenses, that I had lied so well that even he had believed I was incapable of something like this. And then, the final nail in the coffin, he said I was on my own, that I would get nothing from him, no financial help, no sympathy, no place in his life. And then, just like my parents, he blocked me. I wasn't just cut off financially. I wasn't just disowned by my family. I wasn't just rejected by David. Eric made sure that I could never recover from this socially. He had forwarded the proof of my affairs, the paternity test results, the text messages, everything, to our entire social circle. Mutual friends, coworkers, even people I barely knew. And then, just to make sure no one missed it, he posted everything publicly. I don't even know how to describe the kind of humiliation I felt watching my entire life crumble in real time. People who used to admire me, envy me, look up to me were now disgusted by me. I lost everyone. No one wanted to be associated with me, Dot. Even people who normally stayed out of drama took his side because how could they not? The proof was right there, Dot. The evidence was undeniable. And Eric didn't even have to say anything. He didn't even call me names, Dot. He didn't get emotional. He just put the truth in front of them and let them make their own conclusions. And every single person in my life made the same one. I was a liar, a cheater, a woman who let a man raise a child that wasn't his, and now I had nothing left. Update. Hello, Reddit. I honestly don't know why I'm even writing this here again. Maybe because I have nowhere else to go, no one left to talk to. Maybe because I still can't fully process what's happening and how quickly everything fell apart. How I went from having a home, a husband, a life, to being completely alone in just a matter of days. Eric is gone. Not just moved out, not just taking time to think. He's gone, and he's not coming back. It's been a week, and I still wake up expecting to see him sitting at the kitchen counter, drinking his coffee, scrolling through his phone like it's any other morning. I still catch myself reaching for my phone, thinking I can text him, thinking I can fix this. But there's nothing left to fix. Eric wants nothing to do with me. He's pushing for full custody, and I can't stop him. I don't even know where to start. I guess it started with the financial disaster, the frozen accounts, the declined credit cards, the sudden realization that I had no way to support myself. But it's worse now, because Eric has made sure I have no way to contact him, blocked on everything. I tried calling him, but it was directed straight to voicemail. I tried texting him, but it was not delivered. I even tried emailing him, but I got no response. Even his work email, the one he never used for personal things, bounced back. I had someone check his social media, and it's like I never existed. He removed every picture of me and every trace of our marriage, like he's already erased me. I don't even know where he's staying. Our house? No longer mine. His name is the only one on the paperwork now, and I was served with formal eviction papers. He had it all planned before he even left. He wasn't just leaving me, he was shutting me out of his life completely. I thought David would at least be on my side. I was wrong. Eric told him everything. And now? David wants to fight for his rights as our son's father. He told me he doesn't trust me anymore, that he won't let me control the situation like I did before. He said I stole years from him, that I took away his right to be a father, and that now he's going to take it back. And I don't know how to stop him. I have nothing. No lawyer, no money, no support system. I don't even know where to go. My own parents won't take me in. I tried calling my mother again, thinking that maybe a week would be enough time for her to calm down. She didn't answer. Instead, I got a text from my father. "We don't want to be involved in this mess. Please don't contact us again." My own parents. They won't even speak to me. I reached out to friends, hoping anyone would listen to me, would help me. But no one wants to hear my side of the story. Eric got to them first, and I can't even blame them. They all saw the proof. They saw the texts, the photos, the hotel receipts. They saw the DNA test, and now they want nothing to do with me. Some of them didn't even bother responding when I reached out. One of my closest friends, someone I had known for years, someone who had been my maid of honor when Eric and I renewed our vows, sent me a single message. I don't think I've ever been more disgusted by someone in my entire life. And then she blocked me. One by one, they've all disappeared. And now I have no one. I have nowhere to go. I have no money. I have no job. Eric was the one who handled everything, and I let him. I didn't think I needed to worry about finances or stability, because I always thought he would be there. Now, I don't even know how I'm supposed to survive. I'm staying at a motel, using the last bit of money I have left, and I don't know what happens next. Eric has been talking to lawyers nonstop. I don't know what his plan is, but I know he's not stopping until I have nothing left, and David is pushing to take my son away from me. I'm losing everything, and I don't know how to stop it. I can't go back to my parents, I can't go to my friends, I can't reach Eric. Even David, who once cared about me, won't even look at me anymore. I don't know what I thought would happen. I don't know how I ever thought I would get away with this. I don't even know who I am anymore. Reddits, is there anything left for me to do, or am I completely doomed? Update. Hi Reddits, it's me again. It's been 2 weeks since my first post. 2 weeks since I lost everything, my husband, my home, my money, my reputation. And just when I thought things couldn't possibly get worse, life found a way to drag me down even further. I don't even know who I am anymore. I don't know how I ended up here, sitting in a cheap motel room, staring at my reflection in the dirty bathroom mirror, wondering how much lower I can sink before I finally hit the bottom. I should have seen it coming. I should have realized that my choices, my selfish, reckless decisions would eventually come back to destroy me. But I was too arrogant, too blind. Now I have nothing left. I don't know why I thought he'd be suffering without me. Some part of me believed that even after everything, he'd still be grieving and that he'd be lost, broken, drowning in heartache. But he's not. I found out through friends, or at least people who used to be my friends. I wasn't even looking for the information. Someone had just mentioned it casually, like it was public knowledge, like everybody else already knew but me. Eric is seeing someone new, Not just casually dating. No, he's thriving. He's out, smiling, laughing, living his best life while I'm rotting in my own misery. The woman, she's younger, beautiful, successful, the exact opposite of me. A woman who actually respects him. A woman who sees his worth. A woman who's getting the best version of him, the one I never appreciated. And the worst part is that I know he's doing it on purpose. I know he wants me to see him happy, to see him glowing, moving on, rebuilding his life from the ashes of our marriage while I have nothing. And it's working. It's killing me, because it's not supposed to be like this. I was supposed to be the one who moved on first. I was supposed to be the one who replaced him. He was supposed to be the one left behind, mourning me, regretting letting me go. But instead, I'm the one stuck in this nightmare, and he's free. But there's something else. I don't even know how to write this. It feels too disgusting, too shameful, too humiliating to admit. But I need to say it because this is the part that finally broke me. I had been feeling off for weeks. At first I thought it was just stress, that my body was reacting to the hell my life had become. I started feeling burning sensations, discomfort, pain, but I ignored it. Because what else was I supposed to do? I had nowhere to go, no health insurance, no money for a doctor. But then it got worse. The pain turned into constant irritation, unbearable itching, and a strange discharge. I tried to convince myself it was just a simple infection, and that maybe it was something that would just go away on its own. I should have known something was wrong. I ignored the signs. For weeks I told myself it was nothing. Just stress, dehydration, maybe just a minor infection. Anything but what it actually was. At first it was just a little discomfort. I brushed it off, thinking my body was just reacting to the chaos my life had become. I wasn't eating right. I wasn't sleeping. I had lost everything. Eric, my home, my money, my reputation. I figured my body was just breaking down like everything else in my life, but then it got worse, Dot. It started with the burning, a deep, unrelenting irritation that wouldn't go away, no matter how much water I drank or how much I tried to ignore it. At night, I would shift in bed, tossing and turning, too uncomfortable to sleep. Then I noticed the discharge. It was off. This was definitely not normal, not like anything I had ever experienced before, and that's when the panic started creeping in. I told myself it was a yeast infection, that it was nothing. I even went to the pharmacy and bought over-the-counter medication, thinking I could fix this myself, but it didn't get better. It got worse. The burning turned into pain, sharp, stinging pain. Every time I used the bathroom, it felt like my body was punishing me. Every step I took, every movement, it was there. And yet, I still tried to convince myself it was temporary, Dot. It was nothing. Because if I admitted what I was really afraid of, then I'd have to accept that my actions had caught up with me, that my past was rotting me from the inside out. I woke up one morning with a fever, a dull, pounding headache and chills that made me shiver under the covers. That's when I knew. Something was seriously wrong. I couldn't ignore it anymore. I needed answers. I needed to know, even if the truth was going to destroy me. I had no insurance, no money. I couldn't even afford a real doctor. So I did what desperate broke people do. I went to a free clinic in a part of town I never thought I'd find myself in. The waiting room was crowded, stuffy, filled with people who looked just as lost as I felt. I sat there, staring at the peeling paint on the walls, trying to ignore the lump in my throat, the sweat on my palms, the gnawing panic in my gut. When they finally called my name, I followed the nurse into a small, windowless exam room. Disgusted, but with no choice in the matter, I sat on the chair I was directed to. The doctor was young, professional, and polite. She asked me questions in a soft, non-judgmental voice, but I could see it in her eyes. She knew. She could see it all over me, the shame, the regret. I answered her questions with half-truths, pretending I wasn't as reckless as I had been. She didn't push. She just took the swabs, the blood sample, the urine test, and then she told me to come back in a few days for the results. I left the clinic feeling numb because I already knew. I knew before the test even came back. I just didn't want to admit it. But the truth finally came to my doorstep when the clinic called me 3 days later. I sat on the edge of the motel bed, staring at my phone, my heart pounding as the number flashed across the screen. I almost didn't answer. I almost threw my phone across the room and pretended like this wasn't happening, but I eventually picked up, and then I heard the words that would haunt me forever. Your test results came back positive. I felt my stomach drop. My breath caught in my throat. I barely registered what she was saying after that. The name of the disease, the treatment options, the fact that it was permanent. Permanent. I barely whispered out a question, my voice small, fragile, broken. Can it ever go away? There was a pause, and then the words that made my entire world collapse. No, but it can be managed. I barely heard the rest of what she said. All I could think about was Eric. Eric who had been faithful. Eric who had never strayed. Eric who had spent years loving a woman who was rotting on the inside. I felt sick. I barely made it to the bathroom before I collapsed onto the floor, my body heaving as I vomited into the toilet, shaking, sobbing, falling apart. This was my punishment for cheating F, for the lies, for thinking I could get away with everything. Now I was marked, tainted, a living, breathing reminder of my own destruction. I don't know how I'm supposed to live with this. I don't know if I should even try. The idea of reaching out to Eric is almost laughable now. What would I even say? Hey, I know I destroyed your life, but can you forgive me? Hey, I know I let you raise a child that wasn't yours, but I regret it now. Hey, I have an incurable disease now because I threw myself at men who never even cared about me. Want to take me back? It's pathetic. I am pathetic, and yet I still want to try. I still want to believe there's a chance. Because if I don't have hope, then what do I have left? Nothing, absolutely nothing. So please tell me, do I beg him for another chance? Or do I accept that this is the end of my story? Because I don't know if I can live with this regret much longer. And I don't know if I deserve to. Because now all I could think about was Eric, who had been faithful, loyal, and good. Eric, who had loved me unconditionally, who had never touched another woman the entire time we were together. And me? I threw it all away for men who didn't even care about me. Men who used me, tossed me aside, left me with nothing but shame and a disease I can never get rid of. I wanted to throw up. I wanted to turn back time. I wanted to fix everything. But I can't. I can't undo this. I can't erase this. I can't take back the damage I've done to myself, to Eric, to my entire life. I don't know why I'm even writing this. I don't know what I expect anyone to say. I just feel so lost, so humiliated, so ruined. I thought that maybe, after enough time, Eric would come back. Maybe. If I begged hard enough, if I proved I could change, he would forgive me. But how can he forgive me now? How can I ever look him in the eye again? I want to beg him to take me back. I want to plead with him to give me one last chance. But would he even want me now? I'm damaged. I'm broken. I'm nothing. And he's better without me. I hate that. I hate that he got to move on so easily while I'm stuck here, rotting in my own self-destruction. I hate that he won, because that's what this is, isn't it? He won, and I lost everything. Life doesn't feel like it's worth living. Goodbye, guys. I'll ignore your wicked comments because I'm already at my lowest. You guys probably cannot possibly plunge into a deeper end than I already did by myself. My life is the correct definition of hell on earth. Goodbye and thanks.